Anti-government slogans that were once whispered, now shouted in the streets of Shanghai. Protesters in China's largest city crying down with the Chinese Communist Party and down with Xi Jinping. Those chants are a red line in a nation where political protest is not tolerated. We need to be brave, this man says. Am I a criminal for holding a flower? Protesters in China's largest city crying down with the Chinese Communist Party and down with Xi Jinping.
Something shocking is happening in China right now. Social revenge and riots explode as China's economy teeters on the edge. For the first time in years, Chinese citizens are openly turning against the ruling Communist Party, and some of these protests have turned violent. In one city, a Chinese protester actually killed a CCP official. And the public cheered. This all started with growing anger across China. People are tired, stressed, and feeling hopeless. China's economy is not doing well.
Dragged away by police, but unclear if arrests alone can stop simmering anger from nearly 3 years of harsh COVID lockdowns boiling into something bigger. Protests this week in cities across the country. And in the capital, students at this elite Beijing university turning blank pieces of paper into a symbol of resistance.
Prices are rising, jobs are disappearing, and young people are graduating with no work. The government, instead of fixing the problems, keeps blaming others and cracking down on anyone who complains.
But I don't think that they can sustain it for too much longer, and there's a couple of reasons. Xi Jinping, because he's turned his back on consumption as being the fundamental basis of the Chinese economy, there's only one way out to rescue an increasingly grim situation, and that is to export more. China's not growing at the 5.0% pace reported for last year. It may not even be growing at all. But we know the trend is down because we can see price signals that suggest, actually, who scream deflation. But even if China were growing at 5.0, it probably wouldn't be growing fast enough for those guys to pay back debt. China not only has a problem with Trump at this moment, China not only has a problem with an economy that looks like it's contracting, China has now its 2008. In 2008, they did not want to suffer a recession. So they overstimulated their economy, they piled on the debt, and now that debt is just too heavy. So you've got all of these crises hitting at the same time. And so Xi Jinping, who a couple months ago, he looked like he was going to rule the world.
2 weeks ago in the city of Chengdu, someone hung huge banners from a bridge demanding democracy and political reform. The banners said things like, "Without reform, there will be no future for China." The person who did this was later taken away by government officials and disappeared. He knew what would happen, but he still went ahead. He said, "All I want is democracy in China." This moment sparked something. More people began to speak up, even though it's dangerous. On Chinese social media, young people started posting messages blaming the government and President Xi Jinping. They're saying things like, "We're the ones paying for your war," and "We just want jobs and a normal life." Even though China censors almost everything, the frustration is spreading. One big reason for all this anger is China's real estate crisis. For years, Chinese people believed that buying homes was the best way to save money and prepare for the future. Some families bought 2, 3, or even 4 apartments, but many of these homes were never finished. Developers like Evergrande took money from buyers, didn't build the homes, and then ran out of money. The government didn't help. In fact, many believe officials looked the other way because they were making money from land deals. Now, many Chinese families are stuck. They paid for homes that don't exist. Some went to protest, and the police beat them or arrested them. In Guangdong, homeowners gathered at a government office shouting, "Give me back my house." But they were ignored. People are losing everything, and they're getting desperate. In one tragic case, an angry citizen attacked and killed a local CCP official. Reports say this official was involved in denying compensation to people whose homes were destroyed. The person who killed him had had enough. But what shocked many was the reaction online. People were actually celebrating the death. They said the official got what he deserved, and that the CCP's actions are pushing citizens too far. The truth is, people in China are scared and tired. They see prices going up, food getting more expensive, and wages going down. Young people can't find work. Internet companies are laying off workers. Factories are shutting down. Small businesses are closing. At the same time, the government is busy talking about fighting the US and being strong, but ordinary people are suffering. There's also a sense that Xi Jinping and other leaders are out of touch. For example, Xi banned Chinese airlines from buying American Boeing planes. He said they should support Chinese-made planes. But guess what? He still flies in a Boeing himself, and recently one of the new Chinese planes crashed into a farm, raising serious safety questions. People are starting to notice the double standards. They see how the leaders live well while they struggle to survive. Many now believe the government only cares about power and control, not about the people.
The
fear is that things are going to get worse. China's debt is too high, exports are down, and the economy might not be growing at all. Even if the numbers say 5% growth, the reality feels different. People see deflation. Prices are falling not because things are cheaper, but because no one can afford to buy anything.
Recently, China and the US have started fighting the trade war again. The US says they'll raise tariffs, and the CCP immediately says they'll fight to the end. It sounds strong and full of backbone, but think about it. Who's really suffering? It's not the officials or the rich, it's us, the common people. Look at life now. The prices go up every year. Eggs are expensive. Meat is expensive, and fruit is even more expensive. Young people can't find jobs. After graduation, they're unemployed. Internet layoffs, factory closures, small businesses closing down. But the CCP isn't thinking about how to save the economy. Instead, they keep cracking down on private enterprises while fighting the US in the tariff war. They claim it's to protect national interests. But who is the country? Isn't it us? Our jobs are in danger, and they're talking about sovereignty and toughness. What's the point? The US raises tariffs, and China immediately retaliates. It may look like a back and forth, but the real cost is being paid by us, the common people. Factory orders are gone, foreign trade is in chaos, workers are laid off, and bosses are running away. There's no protection for people's livelihoods. The CCP always says it doesn't start trouble, but isn't it causing trouble now? If the country's leader really cared about the people, they would focus on making our lives better, not just making a tough face for show. There are no winners in a trade war. It's about power and wisdom. When they say they'll fight to the end, they're gambling with people's livelihoods. In the end, they fight, but we starve. We don't want to be dragged into this. We don't want to pay the price for their struggle. We just want a stable job, food on the table, and a peaceful life. It's that simple.
With all these problems hitting at once, from the trade war to the mortgage crisis, to censorship and corruption, it's no surprise that protests are breaking out. But what's new and truly dangerous for the CCP is that these protests are now turning into acts of violence. People are not just angry, they are acting on that anger. The world is watching closely. Will the CCP crack down harder? Will they change course and help their people? Or will more citizens fight back? What we do know is this: China is reaching a breaking point, and for the first time in a long time, the people are no longer staying silent. If you found this video eye-opening, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated. Your support helps us keep going and keep telling the stories that matter. See you in the next video.